Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's YouTube Live. And tonight we're going to be looking at effective communications and how to use Zoom really well. So without further ado, I'm going to switch over to my presentation and let's get started. So first of all, there are two types of ways of communicating with your team. First of all, you've got offline methods and you have online methods. So the offline methods, these are not in real time, okay? So they're normally one-to-one. So you just talking to one person, communicating with one person. It's not in real time. You can send your communication via one platform and receive it via another. And typical offline communications would be text, SMS. If you leave a voicemail for somebody so they can pick it up later. And email. So those are really sort of the most common offline means of communication, and really you should only be using those as a last resort, really. If the communication is non-urgent, it doesn't really matter when the person gets back to you. You're just sending that. It may be confirmation of a previous conversation that you've had, or something that just needs to be followed up at some time in the future. Then we have online communication. So these are live, they're instant. It can be one-to-one, or it could be one-to-many people simultaneously. Typical here could be instant messaging, so something like Skype messaging, Facebook messaging, WhatsApp. We use Slack an awful lot. Slack is very, very good when you're working with teams. It's, if you like, it's a professional version of WhatsApp, and it allows you to create lots of groups. I know you can do that with WhatsApp, but you can create different groups, and it's just a lot. It's a lot slicker when you're working with groups. You don't have to be scrolling up and down looking for the various different messages that you've sent. Everything's very nice and convenient, and also Slack integrates with Trello. So if you're using Trello for task management, which we talked about a few nights ago, then Trello and Slack integrate together. So when somebody makes a change on Trello, it will send you a Slack message so you can see those updates. Then you've got voice only, so telephone, be it mobile or landline. If you are working with remote teams and they are outside of the UK or even inside the UK, to save money, one of the very good methods of having voice communications is what's called voice over IP. So it uses the internet to actually as the method of actually connecting the endpoints, if you like, connecting you to the person that you're speaking to. It uses the internet. It uses an interface on your computer. You still can have a traditional headset with a microphone, and then you can make and receive calls free of charge using your computer. So if you've got a virtual assistant in another part of the world, or anybody else in another part of the world, it allows you to have those communications. It means your VA can be ringing people, talking to your clients, to your suppliers, etc., on your behalf. And you can have a local number assigned to it as well. So I'm based in St Albans, so we have an 01727 number for Awaken to Business, but often that phone will actually be answered by somebody in the Philippines. And if one of my team need to ring one of my clients, then they can use our voice over IP to actually have a telephone conversation with them. So voice over IP is very, very useful. And then we come on to video conferencing. So obviously Zoom is now very, very popular. It's being used due to COVID. A lot of people have become aware of Zoom and started using it where they never have before. So we're going to talk a little bit about Zoom and how to really use it well, how to have a really good setup, and I'm going to talk about some of the features of Zoom that you may not be aware of. Then we have webinars. So webinars, if it's you and you want to talk to lots of people simultaneously at the same time, such as this tonight. So those can be done over YouTube as we're doing, or Zoom again, GoToMyMeeting is another one. There's various different platforms for hosting webinars, allows you to talk out to lots and lots of people. They can get involved by putting comments into a comment box or a chat box. They can ask questions, you can respond to them, and everything is then recorded so people can then download or watch the webinar back, play it back later. When you're doing video conferencing and webinars, really good to screen share. So reinforce what you're doing by doing demonstrations, sharing your screen, talking people through, particularly if you're doing one-to-ones with your remote team. And you're trying to explain something, then bring up your screen on the Zoom call and talk them through. And data sharing, that's another often overlooked good thing to incorporate into your online communication. So this is where you can perhaps doing whiteboarding, sharing things that you're annotating on. So very, very good to scribble out notes and share those, and both parties, both sides, or if there's more than two people, multi-points, then everybody can have input to those annotations. And as with offline communications, so online again, you can share across multiple devices. So it doesn't, people could be interacting on their telephone, on their laptop, on their iPad, on their desktop computer, can be out and about, mobile, or they could be sat behind the desk. So yeah, lots of different platforms that you can communicate over. There are some things to remember that I'd like to talk about. First of all, do remember that when you touch base with somebody, you don't necessarily know what they are doing. They may be responding to you. If you can't see them, then you don't know actually whether they're in the middle of something or whether they're sitting around doing nothing. So it's really important to bear that in mind, because if they're in the middle of something, their focus is elsewhere. They may not even be at home. They may be out and about somewhere. Then they may be responding quickly. If you send somebody a Slack message, they may see that, or WhatsApp, they may see that. You don't know where they are. They may want to feel that they need to respond to you quickly because you've messaged them, but it's not really a convenient time, but they're going to go ahead anyway. They may be indisposed, but that doesn't mean that they don't care. Okay, so just bear that in mind. It may be that you've sent a Slack message or a WhatsApp message or any other kind of message. They don't respond for 2 or 3 hours. You don't know what's going on in their lives. You don't know where they are. So bear that in mind and don't get upset. So if it is time critical, do chat. Okay, so you can with most chat services, you can see when people are online. So if they are online, then do use chat if it is time critical. And also for yourself, try and be available as much as you can. I'm not saying that you should be checking your phone every 5 minutes, and certainly don't allow your time to be robbed, as we spoke about earlier. Don't let people rob you of your time, but do also be available if you need it. Okay, so you choose when you want to respond and how you want to respond. So let's talk about Zoom. So first of all, it's important that you've got a good setup for Zoom. So some of the things that you should be doing. So you can sync your Zoom calendar with your own personal calendar. So maybe you're using Gmail or something like that. Sync your Zoom up to that calendar. So when you have a Zoom call, it's going to be in your calendar. It's going to be on your phone or your computer, your laptop. You're going to have that scheduled. Make sure you use you've got an uncluttered background. I think we've probably all enjoyed with the popularity of Zoom now. We've all enjoyed having a little look in people's houses and seeing getting a bit more of a feel for their life and or their surroundings. So people will be looking at your background, seeing what's going on behind you. So make sure you've got an uncluttered background, or like me, you can use a virtual screen, and then you choose what people are going to see. So remove distractions from the room as well. So you don't have pets or children running around in the background or creating noise, creating a distraction. So try and make sure when you're having a Zoom call that you are focused on that meeting, and you can concentrate. Have good lighting. So I've been really struggling with my lighting over the last week or two in this particular room. And I'm getting stray lighting coming in, and I need to improve on it. I know that. But, you know, do make sure you've got good lighting. Try and make sure you've got good controlled lighting. So if you're using a green screen, then your green screen is going to work best if it's well lit. And try and light your face as well as possible using some kind of diffuse lighting. So you don't want glare. You need to remove any glare. I don't have lights that are, you know, bearing down on you. Have them diffused, but make sure that your face is well lit and evenly lit. Have a good camera angle. So don't have it set up so that your screen's over here and you're looking over here, especially if you're working on two screens. So make sure you got your screen set up and you are looking as much as possible. You've got good line of sight. You're looking at the camera as much as you can. Display your name in the bottom left-hand corner. So display the name and display your name as you like to be called. Okay, so if your name is Robert, but most people call you Bob and you prefer to be called Bob, then display your name as Bob. Don't confuse things by having your name as Robert. And maybe a few minutes before going on the call, just check that you've got the right name displayed. If more than one person is using the computer, then make sure that when you log on and your name's Bob, you don't suddenly come up as Joe. Okay, so do make sure you check that. Dress to impress. So if you're doing a Zoom meeting, treat it as though it is a normal business meeting. Okay, dress as you would do if you were going to the office. Set your camera and your microphone so that they're going to be muted when you first join the meeting. Okay, that way, you know, you can set the call up, you can join the meeting, you can check everything, make sure you're happy with your surroundings and everything that's going on, and then when you're ready, then unmute your microphone and unmute your camera. When you're not talking, mute your microphone. Okay, so it really, especially if you've got lots of people on the call, it can be really distracting if everybody's got their microphone open, and especially if they've got somebody wandering into the room as well that's creating noise, then that can really drown everything out. So if you're not speaking, then have your microphone muted. And a little tip here is, if you want to temporarily say something and you've got your microphone muted, then just press the space bar and that will unmute your microphone for as long as you want to talk. And then when you finish speaking, release the space bar and your microphone will come off mute. Mute your camera if you need to as well. So if you're going to be leaving your desk for a few minutes, then mute your camera. Okay, so you let people know, mute your camera, again, avoid any distractions. So with Zoom meetings, some other tips. First of all, when you're doing a Zoom meeting, try and schedule it as much in advance as possible. So you can use Zoom to actually schedule the meeting, create the appointment, and then send that invitation, forward it on via email to all attendees. So they're going to get an email with a link to click on at the required time. Be punctual at meetings. So if you set the meeting up, don't have 4, 5, 6 people sitting there waiting for you to join. You know, be there a couple of minutes early, not a couple of minutes late. So do be punctual. I would suggest try and keep your meetings to a maximum of 90 minutes. Zoom meetings can be quite tiring. I mean, I spend a lot of my day on Zoom. That's how I do most of my meetings. And I know it is very, very tiring. So do try and limit your meetings to 90 minutes. And if you need to go on for longer than that, then just take a 10, 15-minute break and then go back to the meeting after everybody's had a chance to have a bit of a rest, go to the toilet, make a cup of coffee, whatever, and then rejoin. Record all the meetings down to your cloud drive. Now Zoom will record meetings down to the Zoom server, but that server is very limited in space, and also you're in the hands of Zoom for actually maintaining that recording, keeping it there, keeping it safe and available. So you can set Zoom up so that it will record your meetings down to your own server. So the way I have my Zoom set up with my VAs, with my team, we've got a shared OneDrive folder where we keep all of our documents and everything. And on there, we have another folder, which is Zoom meetings. And Zoom is configured in such a way that when I hit the record button, I hit record on this computer, but it doesn't save it on the computer. It saves it down onto the OneDrive. And then everybody in the team can access those recordings whenever they want. The recordings will all date and time stamped as well. Use Zoom Gallery View. So it's really good feature. If you've got lots of people on the call, then you can choose between Speaker View or Gallery View. Gallery View is really good, and then you will be able to see all of the people in the meeting on the screen simultaneously. Screen share as much as you can. So as I said earlier, if you want to demonstrate a point, maybe use PowerPoint presentations, talk through documents, go through websites, then screen share as much as you can. The facility is there. It just helps to reinforce your message and provide additional clarity. So let's see, have we got any questions in our Q&A? Let me just see. No, not at the moment. So I'll just see. No, nothing coming through at all. Okay, all right. So that's what I'll do now is I will close off. So there we are. So I hope you've enjoyed tonight's webinar. If you have, then please do share this with anybody else that you think may be interested. Please also do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you click the bell at the top right-hand corner, then that will activate notifications. So you'll get a notification when I'm doing another live, and they are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 o'clock. So you'll get that notification. If you are interested in more about finding out about VAs and how to recruit a VA, then the QR code on the left, if you take a picture of that will take you to our VAVAVUM website. We've got a free downloadable guide on the website, so that will give you lots of information, lots of help about how to go about recruiting a VA. If you want to work further with VAVAVUM, there's all the information there about the service that we provide. If you want to have a one-to-one consultation with me over Zoom, then please do scan the code on the right of the screen. That will take you to my online calendar, and we can have a chat. I can talk to you about systemization, software, process, and also VA services and what VAs can do for you. So yeah, anything at all, just book a call with me. I've been more than happy to have a free chat with you. And that's it for tonight. So it's Friday, the weather's really nice, and we've got a little bit more restriction lifted here in the UK. So I'm sure the parks are going to be full. We've got a bank holiday weekend ahead of us, so the parks are going to be full, no doubt. Even though it's bank holiday, I'll still be back on Monday. So enjoy your weekend and see you all soon. Bye-bye.